On April 7th, 1909, an antiquities excavation crew in Caerleon, Newport, South Wales, vanished in a tunnel below the ruins of the Isca Augusta. The details surrounding their fates remain unknown. What is known is that their corpses were discovered 4 days later, mutilated, fully disarticulated, and rearranged in a spectacularly disturbing tableau just past the mouth of the tunnel. This was not the first such tableau, nor the last, and certainly not the worst. But it led to the identification and eventual capture of the most dangerous entity known to the Agency of Helping Hands, the Harlequin. If our work at the Agency of Helping Hands demonstrates any truth with utter certainty, it is that the nature of reality is inconstant. Our senses lie to us. They muffle, omit, and deceive to prop up the absurd house of cards that comprises the foundation of our limited perception, which conceals the terrible truth that reality itself is porous. Worse, it is malleable. Worst of all, it's a trap. And like unwitting ants stumbling into a glue trap, so does our reality trap us. This is simply the way of things. Our trap was made for us, and we are made for our trap. Problems only arise when things that are not like us, things that do not belong here, slide into our trap alongside us. No entity demonstrates the nature of this particular complication so thoroughly or so dramatically as the Harlequin. The existence of the Harlequin has been known to the Agency of Helping Hands since the organization's inception, but due to a preponderance of fables, legends, and false information, the Harlequin evaded detection for nearly 100 years. Then, as now, the Harlequin is an enigma. As of this writing, the agency doesn't know where it comes from, what its motives or goals are, or even what it is. In fact, the only information the agency has about the Harlequin is the information it volunteers. By its own admission, the Harlequin's favorite activity is upsetting children. As a shapeshifter of the highest order, he taunts them by taking on various forms including a monster, a spider, a werewolf, a clown, a mime, a king, and a dog with the face of an old man. He has repeatedly stated that his favorite place is California because, in his own words, California is the capital of the show. This entity has murdered entire families for no apparent reason, returned to mutilate victims it has already terrorized, and, perhaps most problematically, been observed attempting to lure minors and developmentally disabled adults to a place it calls the City Bright. The Harlequin has never divulged the meaning or location of the City Bright. While the agency knows that it is a place the Harlequin takes his victims, we have no idea where it is, what it is, or what its purpose is. We do know that of the numerous victims the Harlequin successfully abducted to the City Bright before agency personnel could intervene, only 3 have been located. And due to the sheer scope of damage inflicted on these individuals by the Harlequin's interference, all 3 are currently incarcerated at the Pantheon. The first of these is inmate 8, called Pantomime. The second is inmate 10, called Piero. The third is inmate 13, called Pierrette. Please note that the agency has, with great difficulty, obtained minimal information about the City Bright from these 3 inmates over the years. And while the Harlequin somewhat understands why Pantomime, Piero, and Pierrette felt compelled to freely offer information to their captors, he nevertheless expresses deep, ongoing disappointment in their profound betrayal. Unfortunately, the information provided by Pantomime, Piero, and Pierrette is scant indeed. While it suggests that the Harlequin's actions serve a much larger purpose, perhaps one beyond the scope of human understanding, we still have no idea what that purpose is. The Harlequin itself is far from forthcoming in this matter. For example, whenever it is asked why it commits these abductions, its only answer is to prepare. There is a particularly grim silver lining to the Harlequin's abductions in that he usually disappears his victims from the memory of those who knew them, resulting in startlingly few complications for the agency. The major issue with his talent for unexisting is, of course, the question of the people, places, things, and events he has potentially unexisted outside the scope of the agency's ability to detect it. For this reason, among many others, the Harlequin is considered the agency's most dangerous inmate. As previously stated, the Harlequin was accidentally discovered in April 1909 in South Wales. He was living in a tunnel below the ruins of the Isca Augusta, and although the Harlequin was not discovered on U.S. soil, the United States did not want a foreign government to capture it due to concerns over the potential power such a being might bestow upon its captors. For this reason, the agency made capture and containment of the Harlequin its primary goal for many years. However, due to the agency's complete lack of experience with entities like the Harlequin, capture was not achieved until April 7, 1926. The entity was captured while wearing a filthy and immense leather cloak with a patched motley pattern. Testing later determined that the leather was human skin, and that each patch of motley was made of flesh from a distinct human individual. Testing was halted approximately 6 weeks later during the Harlequin's first containment breach. Although the cloak remained in agency custody for the duration of the entity's escape, new motley patches appeared along the edges of the cloak at a rate of approximately 4 per week until the Harlequin was reapprehended some months later. Upon its recapture, personnel asked the Harlequin how it had obtained the new patches of skin and integrated them into the cloak during its absence. The Harlequin responded, by filling the holes. To this day, this nonsensical answer is not understood, which is appropriate given that very little about the Harlequin is understood, or has been from the beginning. This terminal lack of knowledge began at the literal moment of containment when the Harlequin, freshly in agency custody before the shackles upon its wrists had even been secured, introduced himself as your servant Arlecchino. Over the course of the preposterously unproductive conversation that followed, the Harlequin gave 3 other names for itself: Harlequin, Zani, and Harlequin. When called upon to explain these naming discrepancies, the entity stated that it in fact had no name and was nothing but a faithful servant. When asked who it served, the Harlequin answered, "That which must be served." When asked what must be served, its nonsensical answer was, 4 in 7, just as you worms, 4 in 7. Agency personnel immediately proceeded to research the names provided by the Harlequin, but it quickly became clear that the entity was playing a joke of some kind. Arlecchino, Harlequin, Zani, and Harlequining are all terms related to the figure of Harlequin, a stock character that frequently appears in Italian commedia dell'arte plays. Agency administration believe that the entity's use of these names is significant and holds clues as to the Harlequin's purpose and motives, a view bolstered by the fact that the Harlequin was located in the ruins of an ancient Roman theater. Nevertheless, no meaningful ties have been discovered as of this writing. Due to the commedia dell'arte references, the motley cloak in which it was discovered, and the delightful sense of humor it so clearly possessed, agency personnel christened the entity the Harlequin. The Harlequin has been in the custody of the Agency of Helping Hands ever since. Unfortunately, containment has not stopped him. And, as the agency quickly learned, the Harlequin's extracurricular activities do not stop at the terrorizing, abduction, and permanent vanishing of random human beings. For example, during its frequent containment breaches, the Harlequin creates holes and ports in what can only be termed the fabric of existence and changes reality in ways almost no one can detect. In one such instance, he unexisted an entire town. In another, he vanished a popular film franchise from existence because, in his own words, it was so objectively terrible that simply knowing it existed was intolerable. During yet another escape, he performed an action he described as momentarily unzipping reality, which allowed an as-yet unapprehended entity to slip into our world. The whereabouts of this second entity are currently unknown. It must be noted that locating the Harlequin during his containment breaches verges on impossible for many reasons, one of which is the fact that he possesses myriad physical forms due to an extraordinary talent for shape-shifting. However, the Harlequin does appear to vastly prefer two forms above all others, particularly when in custody. The first form is what agency personnel believe to be its preferred form, which is that of an adult human male. The second form is what is believed to be its true form. No one has ever seen this form in its entirety because the Harlequin only assumes it, or perhaps more accurately, reverts to it, when safely concealed by his motley patterned human leather cloak. The Harlequin has been known to spend weeks at a time safely hidden under his cloak. Agency personnel have, of course, attempted to learn why, to no avail. Whenever the entity is asked to provide a reason, he simply states, "to hide the scars." As of this writing, he has not explained what this statement means. Although its cloak hides most of its true form from view, agency personnel have determined that the Harlequin is unusually large, roughly the height of a particularly well-nourished polar bear. What kind of measurement is that? Agency personnel have determined that the Harlequin is unusually large, roughly the height of a particularly well-nourished polar bear, almost certainly with bodily proportions that would appear mostly human were they not so absurdly ideal. What? Please note, however, that the above information pertaining to the Harlequin's physical appearance is only supposition. This is because the only part of the Harlequin's body that the cloak does not conceal is its jaws, which protrude in a manner best described as lupine. Based on observations, the Harlequin's jaws are approximately 11 inches in length and covered in puffy, suppurating flesh that appears blistered and scarred in a manner consistent with severe burns. The cause of these injuries is unknown, as is the reason behind their inability to heal. While in this form, the Harlequin possesses 3 rows of teeth. The largest and most prominent row somewhat resemble crocodile teeth. The inner rows are much smaller and sharper, and bear a strong resemblance to coyote teeth. As previously mentioned, the Harlequin breaches containment on a regular basis, and during these escapes, it leaves behind its cloak, which continues to expand in its absence. As a protean entity, the Harlequin is capable of assuming various appearances at will. However, it clearly favors certain appearances over others. This was also previously mentioned, but bears repeating. For example, whenever agency personnel finally locate the Harlequin after a containment breach, he invariably takes the form of a human male with red hair and blue eyes. While superficially normal, this body often induces a severe and clinically significant form of what is popularly referred to as the uncanny valley effect. The Harlequin is obviously aware of this and takes great pleasure in subtly changing the proportions of its face and body until it inflicts maximum psychological distress on its captors. Typically, the Harlequin maintains this physically superior body until it re-enters its cell, at which point it crawls under its cloak to assume its true form. As of this writing, no agency personnel have seen the Harlequin in its true form without its cloak. The final piece of Harlequin-related knowledge that the Agency of Helping Hands possesses, thanks entirely to a recent disclosure by the Harlequin itself, involves the entity's familial bonds. Immediately prior to his latest containment breach, the Harlequin claimed that it possesses 6 children. It stated that 3 of these children are other inmates currently incarcerated at the Pantheon. According to the Harlequin, the inmates in question are the following: Inmate 8, Pantomime, Inmate 10, Piero, and Inmate 13, Pierrette. Please note that these inmates are the only known survivors of the Harlequin's mysterious City Bright. Note also that the agency's most unsatisfactory investigative efforts have yielded no actual biological connection between the Harlequin and these inmates. To the best of the agency's knowledge, the Harlequin has simply claimed that the aforementioned inmates are its children. The reasons for this are not known to the agency, although anyone with even a minimally functioning brain can easily determine that the Harlequin's reasons for claiming these inmates as his children include a vast well of empathy for those less fortunate than himself. Okay. The above statements comprise the sum total of the information the agency has gathered in the century since the entity's capture. None of this information includes how to truly contain or even neutralize it. And in simplest terms, we don't know how to change that. The Harlequin is uncontrollable, indestructible, and effectively uncontainable, for while the agency maintains a cell for him, he routinely escapes at will. As such, agency officials, brilliant minds as they are, suspect he is only incarcerated at the Agency of Helping Hands because he wants to be. The reasons for this are too terrifying to contemplate. Even more terrifying is the fact that the Harlequin clearly does not want to be incarcerated at this time. He breached containment 4 months ago, and as of this writing, he has not been caught. It is his longest containment breach to date. Currently, the agency's planned course of action is to arrange for T-Class agent Rachele Bean to interview the Harlequin immediately upon his recapture in the hopes of obtaining information that will help the agency contain the entity permanently, and in doing so vastly reduce the critical threat he poses to humanity, the world, and reality itself. Until then, the agency has no idea what to do, which is par for the course, but no less distressing for it. Who the hell wrote this?
Charlie wrote the original, but the Harlequin's added some improvements over the years.
What?
Yeah, he likes to rewrite inmate files sometimes to make them more entertaining. His own files mostly, but other ones too.
Wait. Did you just say the Harlequin rewrites inmate files?
That's exactly what I said.
And you just let him?
It's not like we can stop him.
Well, how do you even know which inmate records are accurate?
Because he doesn't usually mess with the major stuff. He just adds little flourishes, for flavor.
How do you know it's just little flourishes?
I don't. Charlie does, though, and that's what matters. Now, a bald little bird named Rafael told me you had a mishap a couple nights ago.
Who's Rafael?
You probably know him as Commander Wingaryde.
Is he one of the men who yelled at me after the bye-bye mommy thing? Not the French one, the weirdly dreamy one.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay, sorry.
You're not forgiven. So, do you want to tell me what happened the other night?
Why would I tell you? Who are you?
I'm Mikey, and tonight I'm your remedial trainer for inmate protocol, and to train you effectively...
Please don't say it like that.
Don't say what like what?
Don't say you're going to train me. I just... Look, what do you need from me, Mikey?
I need you to not hold the inmates' hands anymore. None of their hands, but especially not the bye-bye mommy's, because she's bad. That's why she's here in monster jail, because she's a monster who's bad.
I wasn't holding her hand. Look, After relating some clearly distressing information, she reached out to me, I assumed for comfort, so I
held her hand, which gave her the energy she needed to bore a hole into her little pocket dimension and escape custody so she could go kidnap more kids.
Have they caught her yet?
Oh, yeah, Christoph caught her in like an hour. Did you just shiver?
No, I flinched.
Why? Is it because I said Christoph's name?
I don't know.
Christoph.
Can you please just do what you came to do?
I already did.
What?
I came to train you not to hold the inmates' hands. As far as I'm concerned, our training is concluded. Do you have any questions about your anti-hand-holding training, Agent Bean?
No.
Then I'm out.
No, wait. Just a minute. Please?
Well, since you asked so nicely.
Okay, so the Harlequin.
You're not supposed to hold his hand either.
No, I mean, after the agency, after they catch that thing again.
The Harlequin?
Yes, that's who I mean.
Call him the Harlequin, not that thing. It makes him really mad.
Okay. So when they catch the Harlequin again...
Recontain.
I'm sorry?
Don't say when they catch him. Say when they recontain him. He's a god, not a dog. Show some respect.
Are you messing with me?
Hell yeah, I am.
Well, can you stop for a second and answer my question?
You haven't asked a question yet.
When they recontain him, are they really gonna just sit me down in front of a god with full power over life, the universe, and everything, and make me ask him why he likes to make babies cry?
Yes. Any other questions?
Well, how likely are they to catch him?
Not likely at all.
What do you mean?
They never catch him. Like, ever. He just always comes back.
So you're telling me that the Harlequin, this reality-destroying entity beyond all human comprehension, always comes back to the monster prison he keeps breaking out of?
Yes.
Why?
He says we amuse him, but between you and me, and don't tell anyone I said this, or Rafael will lock me up, and no, I'm not exaggerating, I think he's kind of attached to us.
That sounds pretty dog-like to me. But wait, why isn't any of that in his file?
There's a lot that's not in the Harlequin's file.
Like what?
Why are you asking?
Well, because as penance for accidentally facilitating the release of a clinically insane child-murdering ghost, Dr. Wingaryde gave me homework.
You let Charlie give you homework?
Yeah, he's my boss. It's not like I can say no.
Everyone says no to Charlie.
Well, I didn't, and I won't. Anyway, look, so part of my job is putting together detailed case files for the inmates, and right now I'm making one for the Harlequin.
So
I think it's actually kind of lucky that you came here tonight.
Why?
Because you clearly know things about the Harlequin that aren't in any of the documentation that I have. And given that the Harlequin is the most dangerous inmate in the Pantheon, and that I have to interview him eventually, I think it's probably a pretty good idea to learn everything I can.
On one hand, I'm not opposed to helping you. On the other, I'm opposed to Charlie.
Look, the only information I've got about the Harlequin is this tiny folder and a couple of lines in the weirdest employee handbook I've ever seen, and they're going to make me interview this thing.
Not this thing, the Harlequin.
They're going to make me interview an entity that can literally unexist me. I need every bit of information I can get, okay? I'm scared.
Oh, really? I can't tell.
Please.
All right. Here's what I know that's not in his file or the employee handbook. You ready?
Yes.
The first and most important thing is no one's ever gotten the whole truth out of him. That's why administration is so excited about you. You might be able to make him tell the truth, which no one has ever done. He literally just makes shit up all the time. Sometimes to be scary, sometimes to be funny.
He's funny?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. He's scary as shit. But he's also a master troll.
In what way?
Every
what?
way. Every way.
What?
You just asked, in what way is the Harlequin a master troll? And I said every, as in every way. The Harlequin is a massive troll in every way you can fathom. Some ways you can only comprehend when you're wasted at 3 a.m. Some you can only begin to think about wasted at 3 a.m. And some you probably have to be a god or something to even begin to understand, okay?
Okay, sorry. I'm just tired.
Getting dragged into a pocket dimension will do that. Trust me, I know. So let's see. The Harlequin lies, and he's a master troll in every way. What else? Oh, he loves harassing Vincent.
Who's Vincent?
Vincent is the senior agent in charge of his care team.
Oh.
Yeah, the two of them have a really weird thing going on. Like, almost an understanding, except creepy and really uncomfortable. Anyway, the Harlequin loves harassing everyone, but he loves harassing Vincent the most. And the only thing he loves more than harassing Vincent is Looney Tunes and maybe Kids in the Hall. Maybe.
You're telling me that the scariest monster known to man loves Looney Tunes?
Yeah, and pranks too.
What kind of pranks?
Good ones. Like this one Halloween, all the way back in 2001, the Harlequin crawled under his human leather cloak and began to chant in a language no one even recognized, let alone understood. He chanted for hours, right? Nothing staff did stopped him or even made him stumble. Of course, everyone in the Pantheon started to panic. They thought he was reciting a spell to blast the agency off the face of the earth or something. So administration pulled every single agent off regular duty to figure out how to stop him. He chanted for 47 hours straight before an S-class agent finally figured out what language he was speaking.
What kind of language takes 47 hours to identify?
Apparently, an obscure Alsatian dialect. That's basically ancient French, I think. Anyway, even after they figured out the language, it still took them hours to translate his chant. And it turned out his chant wasn't a spell. It wasn't a ritual. It wasn't magic. It wasn't anything but a transliteration of the Bad Touch by the Bloodhound Gang.
Mikey?
Yes, Agent Bean?
Are you fucking with me?
Nope.
So the most dangerous thing the agency, and possibly the entire world, has ever known once spent a Halloween weekend trolling everyone by singing shock rock in ancient German.
Ancient French. And yep.
Why isn't that in his file?
Because he took it out.
Why hasn't anyone put it back in?
Because every time someone tries, he punishes them.
Do we know why?
The Harlequin says he made a translation error that he only noticed after the fact, and the error was too embarrassing to exist.
Just for information's sake, how does he punish the people who try to add it back in?
He turns them into people piñatas.
Oh.
Candy and all.
Okay.
Blood too, of course, but somehow the blood is less weird than the candy, at least in the moment.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I should hope that they finally catch this thing or...
Not catch, not thing. Recontain him.
I don't know if I should hope they finally recontain him or if I should just hope he stays gone.
I hope he's recontained soon. Life's more interesting when he's around.
I guess so. Well, thank you, Mikey. I really do appreciate your time and help.
Are you kicking me out? After I helped you with your Charlie homework and everything?
Well, you can leave or keep helping me with Charlie homework, which you're apparently opposed to, so...
Maybe I'm feeling helpful. Or maybe I just want to know what other homework that dumbass is making you do.
Okay, well, he's making me listen to an audio file of the employee handbook.
Why?
Because he got some reports that something was odd with it, and he thought having me comb through it until I found the problem would help me get a good grasp on how things work around here.
I wonder if it'll help you get a good grasp on how not to hold the inmate's hands.
I guess time will tell.
Wait, he said there's something odd with it? What kind of odd?
I don't know yet.
Well, now I'm curious. Let's see.
Mikey? Please don't touch my computer.
It's not your computer, it's the agency's. Where's the handbook file? Is it in your email?
It's not a file. It's a tape.
A tape? Like a cassette tape? What the hell, Charlie? God!
Yeah, that's kind of what I said, but he said he prefers analog media, so...
So I repeat, what the hell, Charlie? God. So where's this tape?
It's already in the player, but look, you really don't have to...
Handbook of Information and Protocol for the Agency of Helping Hands, North American Special Containment Unit, Ward 1. Revised February 14th, 2008.
2008? If I'm going to figure out what's odd with this handbook, don't I need the current version?
This is the current version.
Are you serious?
Serious as Christoph's reconditioning protocols.
What?
Section 1. Purpose and History. Founded in 1828, the purpose of the Agency of Helping Hands is to capture, manage, train, incarcerate, and, when necessary, annihilate beings and entities whose existence presents a grave and immediate threat to human beings.
Wait, is that Charlie narrating?
Took you this long to recognize him? Don't you work with him all day, every day?
Well, yeah, but...
The unique name is taken from the agency's first inmate, a traveling performer called Mr. Helping Hands, who assisted various splinter groups in inciting resistance against the United States government during the country's colonial expansion. While the agency's very first goal was to capture and contain Mr. Helping Hands, it was far from the last. As years passed and human technological progress encroached upon, and in many cases helped detect, other entities, the agency's purview expanded to include the capture, control, containment, and destruction of these creatures as necessary. While the agency's scope shifted, its name continued to allow it to fly under the national radar. Its similarity to the names of religious charities that cropped up on the American frontier over the ensuing decade made it easy to infiltrate other organizations, identify threats, and recruit new agents. For a time, the Agency of Helping Hands even worked with famed mental health reformer Dorothea Dix, which allowed personnel unprecedented access to both potential assets and hitherto overlooked threats.
That's kind of sick.
I wouldn't say kind of.
Finally, the name facilitated financial assistance from philanthropists, the general public, and unsuspecting government agencies without scrutiny. The name has been kept through the following centuries, largely because containing Mr. Helping Hands has remained a primary goal of the agency.
Mr. Helping Hands is still alive?
Kind of.
Will I get to interview him?
I doubt it.
Why?
Stop interrupting and pay attention.
To date, the agency's numerous attempts to destroy Mr. Helping Hands have all failed. He is, for all intents and purposes, perfectly immortal. Therefore, Mr. Helping Hands is classified as an indestructible, non-cooperative inmate. Due to his advanced metaphysical abilities and deeply problematic physiology, he is under constant sedation to prevent breach and ensure the safety of agency personnel. The last attempt to awaken Mr. Helping Hands occurred on August 4th, 1980. In terms of personnel casualties, this attempt remains one of the most catastrophic events in agency history. No further attempts have been made to wake Mr. Helping Hands, and none should be made in the future for any reason.
Please note that the opinion expressed above is that of a true coward. Of course, the agency is aware that cowardice is one of Dr. Wingaryde's stronger suits. One might go so far as to say that weakness is his greatest strength.
What was that?
That was the Harlequin.
The Harlequin rewrote the employee handbook?
That wasn't a rewrite, just a flourish. Let's see how many other flourishes we find.
There was a silver lining to this catastrophe, however. The ramifications forced the Agency of Helping Hands to reevaluate its methods and treatment of our inmates. Consequently, a sort of non-human rights movement arose among many agency personnel. Handlers and guards insisted that when it came to self-awareness, feelings, and thought processes, the incarcerated were at least on par with human beings, and in many cases superior. In any circumstance, solitary confinement without the meeting of basic needs amounted to torture. Was the agency truly comfortable with the wholesale torture, murder, and destruction of gods and monsters?
Please note that the answer is yes. Yes, the agency truly was comfortable.
There's flourish number 2.
When the agency finally answered that question, the answer was a reluctant no. This answer wasn't solely or even primarily for the benefit of the inmates. It was for the safety of personnel and humanity at large. Frequent containment breaches by the most dangerous and powerful beings in the world resulted in casualties large and small. Much of that violence was executed as revenge for the appalling treatment inmates received at the hands of agency personnel. However, even when treatment of the inmates improved, results did not. In many cases, there was no way to communicate to these creatures that the terms of their confinement had changed. Many speak languages long since lost to humanity. Some do not speak at all. This has introduced indescribable difficulties in management of the AHH's so-called monster asylum, so much so that the initiative was quietly abandoned. Nevertheless, it has become increasingly clear that communication and treatment are necessary. Due to appalling treatment by decades of poorly trained AHH personnel informed by outdated policy and problematic social mores, many of these entities have been traumatized beyond comprehension for a minimum of 2 human lifetimes. While euthanasia is the obvious and preferred solution, these beings are incarcerated in the first place because they are indestructible and cannot be euthanized through any known means. Forced to live in captivity, often in conditions that would otherwise constitute a war crime, these creatures have human or above human intelligence and capabilities that defy human understanding of reality. Therefore, they must be treated as such until euthanasia can be achieved, not for their safety, but for ours.
It took them until 2008 to figure that out?
No. It took them until 2008 for it to even occur to them.
Unfortunately, the Agency of Helping Hands has failed in this, just as it has failed in the majority of its other responsibilities. It has certainly failed to design and implement a framework for humane treatment of its inmates.
Please note that a man capable of admitting to his myriad flaws may be admired. He's not to be forgiven, but admiration is acceptable.
Flourish 3.
The situation is salvageable, however. Various staff members have observed that a number of agency inmates are cooperative and willingly work alongside human handlers for the greater good. In cases such as these, the agency deploys all measures to ensure a healthy and productive partnership, and should be commended and supported in these efforts. These beings are put to use in various ways until they can no longer function, or until they rebel, at which point they are destroyed if possible, and incarcerated if not. It must be noted that the majority of agency inmates are either uncooperative or unusable, with the notable exception of TSE-class agents. Rarely, the agency encounters highly dangerous entities that cannot be rehabilitated and are either not able to be destroyed by any known means or are too valuable to be destroyed at the present time. These inmates are contained at the agency's highest security facility, which functions, if you will, as a supermax prison for monsters.
Please note, the inmates aren't the only monsters here.
He does have a point.
Section 2. The North American Pantheon. The agency's incarceration facility is known by several names, most commonly the Monster Asylum and the Zoo.
Who's reading now?
Administrator Cortez.
Am I gonna meet her?
You should probably hope not.
Due to the derogatory nature of these titles, however, the agency chose to take a different direction. In 1987, the facility was officially renamed the Pantheon, out of respect for the inmates and their unique and incredible natures. Although it was renamed yet again to North American Specialized Containment Unit recently in 2004, most personnel still refer to the facility as the North American Pantheon.
Please note that we would like to formally agree with Administrator Cortez due to the fact that she at least understands the singular challenges one faces when attempting to reach lofty goals as children, figurative and literal, squabble and rage underfoot.
Is the administrator friendly with the Harlequin?
God, no.
Section 3. Inmate Classification. The Agency of Helping Hands has developed a multi-point classification system for inmates at the Pantheon. Classification is necessary in order to assess and design appropriate safety protocols. The most important aspects of agency classification are the inmate's willingness and ability to obey and fulfill agency directives. Classification also takes into account an inmate's mortality or whether the agency possesses the ability to destroy the inmate. It also includes the inmate's origin, threat level, abilities, and power. All 6 criteria are combined into a unique classification string. The classification guidelines for the Pantheon inmates are described in the next section.
Before moving on to the most wildly offensive section in the entire handbook, the agency wishes to clarify that classifying extraordinary and extraordinarily varied beings into narrow-minded categories is little more than a crime.
Section A. Cooperation and Obedience Classification. This classification unit has 3 categories. Uncooperative. Entity is unwilling to cooperate with the agency. Non-cooperative. The entity is not capable of cooperating with the agency. Cooperative. Entity is willing and capable of cooperating with the agency's directives.
And which are you?
Cooperative?
Right. And whatever anyone tells you, so am I. Very cooperative. What's the Harlequin?
Uncooperative?
And do we hold the hands of uncooperative inmates?
Well, given that he's a reality-warping god, I can't exactly refuse if he asks, can I?
Well reasoned, but reason doesn't always get you far in law enforcement. So next time, I want you to stick with no.
Section B. Mortality Classification.
This steals to a single and rather dispiriting consideration. Whether the agency can kill the inmates to their satisfaction or not.
All inmates incarcerated at Audnascu fall into one of 2 categories. Destructible. The agency is capable of destroying the inmate. Indestructible. The agency is not capable of destroying the inmate.
Agent Bean, which classification are you?
Destructible?
Remember that.
Moving on, hopefully to more interesting pastures.
Section C. Origin Classification.
As if where something began has any bearing on where it ends.
Chthonic. Chthonic entities are entities whose abilities manifest after death, or an entity that plausibly originates from what is commonly referred to as the underworld or spirit world. They may or may not possess corporeal bodies. The Bye-Bye Mommy and the Big Bad Wolf are prime examples of chthonic entities.
Correction! The big bad dog is a prime example of nothing except perhaps blind obedience to authority.
Gaian, entities who originate from the physical world and possess physical bodies. Numa and King Mojave Green are Gaian entities.
They are, in other words, frightfully dull.
Olympic, entities that originate from a plane of existence beyond our own. The Harlequin is an Olympic-class entity.
And in more ways than one.
Agnosto, entities of an unknown origin. The dodecahedron and the heartbird are examples of Agnosto-class inmates. Casualty, a human being who has obtained characteristics or abilities requiring the intervention of AHH. Titan, an organism or entity whose origination or creation was caused, directed, or otherwise influenced by this agency.
Please note that at the present time, agency administration has failed to explain why the horrific creations spawned by their blundering, bungling, and unforgivably inelegant interventions are called Titans, while the children upon which the Harlequin bestows talents and extraordinary abilities are classified as mere casualties.
All right, Agent Bean. If I were to cut out your heart right now and you came back stronger and killed me in a fit of vengeful rage, and then I came back stronger and you did the same and I did the same, and we were eternally bound in some kind of fucked up hate bond, what would that be considered?
That was weirdly specific, but I guess my answer is stupid and fucked.
I'll give you partial credit for that one. I was going for chthonic, but we would indeed both be stupid and fucked.
Section D. Appearance classification. Protean. A classification of protean indicates that the entity's appearance is variable. This may or may not be voluntary. For example, because her appearance changes when in emotional distress, the bye-bye mommy is considered protean. Constant. The entity's appearance stays fixed and consistent. Section E. Threat classification. An inmate's threat class refers to the inmate's likelihood of harming human beings. Please note that threat classification is unrelated to Dionism classification. Threat classification falls on a spectrum between low and critical. A threat classification of low indicates the entity is unlikely to harm human beings.
Or, in other words, docile, gentle, broken, and of course well-fed. This is because a fed dog doesn't bite its keeper, unless it's a very bad dog. And this agency doesn't keep bad dogs, nor does it keep hungry ones. Hungry ones bite. The hungrier they are, the harder they bite. When mere hunger finally descends into ravenousness, the situation quickly becomes
critical. This threat classification indicates the entity consistently attacks human beings. In between low and critical, we have the following classification levels. Moderate. This classification indicates the entity has attacked human beings in the past, and attacks remain possible, but are unlikely to occur. For example, because prior attacks were caused by human provocation or factors that have since been identified and controlled. Substantial. This means the entity is somewhat likely to attack human beings with or without provocation. Severe. This means the entity is highly likely to attack human beings.
More quiz time.
Can I listen again before you quiz me?
No, but don't worry. I'll make it easy for you by sticking to the inmates who matter most. You, me, the Harlequin, and Christoph. Where do we fall?
I assume I'm low? You too, right? Otherwise they wouldn't let you walk around freely.
If you say so.
The Harlequin would have to be critical.
And Christoph?
Not low?
Funny enough, he's also critical.
How is that funny?
Don't ask stupid questions.
Section F. Dynamism classification. Dynamism is an inmate's type and degree of impact on its targets and environment. Or, put more crudely, its power level. The agency separates inmates into 6 different dynamism classifications.
Please note there is only one dynamism classification that matters, which is
Egregore. Inmates whose dynamism can disrupt life on a mass scale. The Harlequin is an egregore class inmate. Theos. Inmate whose dynamism is critically dangerous and can be exerted and or expressed on a target without requiring the target to be in close physical proximity. The Heartbird is a Theos class inmate. Hematheos. Inmates with critically dangerous split dynamism. Some elements of its dynamism can be expressed without requiring a target to be in close physical proximity, while other elements of its dynamism require close physical proximity to its target. Pantomime and the Bye-Bye Mommy are Hematheos class inmates. Demon. Inmates with critical or dangerous dynamism expression that is limited to its immediate vicinity and or people in close proximity. King Mojave Green and the Jar of Clay are demon class inmates. Terrors. Inmates with critical and or dangerous dynamism that does not express itself in traditionally supernatural ways. The dynamism of the Terras class inmates expresses as enhanced abilities found naturally in nature, including but not limited to speed, strength, and camouflage. They are only critically dangerous due to the degree of enhancement. Numa and the Bag Lady are Terras class inmates. Apele. Inmates with dynamism that is highly dangerous, but easily neutralized through standard means. The Ghoul of Aleppo is an Apele class inmate. Danos. Inmates with high dynamism that is deliberately expressed in a low-impact manner.
Or, put differently, things that could be so much more, contenting themselves with being less. In other words, the definition of wasted potential.
Miss Stitcher and the Big Bad Wolf are Dinos class inmates.
Case in point.
Kristoff is the big bad wolf, just so you know.
Yeah, I figured. Why do they call him that?
Because he's a werewolf. Well, kind of.
Are you fucking with me again?
Nope. He really is a super weird type of werewolf. He hates phasing, though. He has this specialized medication regimen to prevent it and everything.
Why?
He hates not being able to control himself, for one thing. For another, unexpected phasing tends to ruin clothes, and Kristoff is very attached to his wardrobe.
Huh. Does the medication work?
Oh, yeah. As far as I know, he hasn't phased since 2008, ironically.
Finally, we have the Phallos classification of inmates with low dynamism that expresses in a highly problematic or dangerous manner. Petra Sorrow and Lifeblood are Phallos class inmates.
Quiz time! What dynamism classification does my mom have?
What?
Come on, Agent Bean. They mentioned her and everything.
When? Who even is your mom?
I'll tell you who's my mom if you tell me who's your daddy.
What?
Oh, right. I forgot. You don't know that yet.
Of course I know who my dad is. I don't know why it matters, but his name is...
Time's up. What's the difference between a chthonic inmate and a casualty inmate?
Chthonic inmates died before dynamism set in, and casualties didn't.
You weren't lying. You really are the worst listener. What's Kristoff's dynamism class?
Dinos. Not that anyone can pronounce anything consistently here.
See, was that so hard? Final question for this section. What's your classification string?
I didn't even know I had one, so I don't know.
Good.
Section 4. Agent classifications.
Why is Kristoff narrating the employee handbook?
Because he's a trainer.
You're shitting me.
Nope. When he's not out in the field catching monsters with Rafael, he helps train the new recruits. You just wait. You'll be in one of his training classes before you know it.
I'm not attending training with him.
Oh, yes, you are.
Okay, why is he a trainer?
Partly because he's Charlie's favorite, but mostly because he's the best trainer we've got. Besides, it would hurt his feelings if you didn't go, and no one is allowed to hurt Kristoff's feelings. No one.
But that's not...
God, will you stop interrupting? It's bad enough that the Harlequin's doing it. We're never going to get through this if you don't shut up.
As an agent assigned to the Agency of Helping Hands, North American Special Containment Unit, or AHHNASCU, your classification is either a voir dire, which is our detention staff, or as a member of the PAN, which is our medical staff.
Listeners, please note that you have my permission to skip the remainder of the section. Permission will persist until such time as the narrator is inhumanely euthanized.
While you serve as the first line of defense and the first point of contact for all inmates in your ward, you are only a small part of the agency as a whole. Your position at the Pantheon requires you to routinely work with agency personnel of differing classes, because multiple agents and divisions work together on different inmates. Therefore, it is important for you to understand the differing agent classifications, their purpose, and circumstances that require their assistance.
Didn't he do a good job? I think he did such a good job.
I hate his voice.
It'll grow on you.
Argonauts, or A-Class. A-Class are field agents whose scope of duties most closely resemble that of traditional law enforcement agencies. They are typically considered monster hunters. Their primary duty is to assure the capture and containment of agency targets at any cost.
Varangians, or V-Class. V-Class are undercover agents. They infiltrate institutions and communities to protect people from agency-involved threats. Their primary duty is to protect human beings at any cost.
Benedante, B-Class. These are agents who have the ability to operate on non-physical planes. Commonly referred to as bennies, their roles and responsibilities vary greatly. For example, a Benedante is currently assigned to identifying the location and nature of the Harlequin's City Bright.
Please note that the assignment is not merely current, but permanent, given that no one alive, dead, or in between has any chance of locating my City Bright without my direct involvement.
Another is currently on loan to the White House. These agents are very rare, very elite, and very highly paid. They are given the most personal and professional discretion of any classification within the Agency of Helping Hands. Most agents never encounter a Benedante over the course of their career. Their primary duties vary based on assignment.
Vardir V2 class. V2 class agents are the caretakers of the inmates at agency custody. They're essentially prison guards.
And are therefore not special enough to get their own letter.
The primary goal of all V2 class agents is to prevent containment breach at any cost.
Calderons, or C-Class. C-Class agents are priests, priestesses, monks, nuns, imams, rabbis, and other members of religious orders who possess unusual talents. Commonly referred to as Ronnies, the classification takes its name from Pedro Ruiz Calderon, a Catholic priest who possesses mastery of numerous unorthodox skills, and who was eventually executed for his work.
Please note our formal expression of envy towards Father Calderon for being fortunate enough to die doing what he loved, a privilege denied to better men than he.
Father Calderon's descendant, Hansel Calderon de Cortez, was among the original team commissioned to capture Mr. Helping Hands. Their primary duty varies based on assignment.
Sethkets, S-Class. S-Class are agents who serve our organization as researchers, scientists, record keepers, librarians, and archaeologists. Their primary duties vary based on assignment.
Payan, or P-Class.
The Payan is the agency's medical division. P-Class agents serve as our doctors, surgeons, nurses, and other personnel who provide healthcare and treatment to agency employees and inmates alike. Their primary duty is to provide care to all individuals associated with or incarcerated in the Pantheon at any cost.
TSC, or T-Class. T-Class are agents with abilities that require dynamism classification. In other words, agents whose abilities necessitate incarceration at the NASCU. Once identified, they are required to either join the agency or submit to termination.
I'm sorry, but this is simply intolerable. A moment, please.
TSC, or T-Class. T-Class are agents who require dynamism classification. In other words, agents whose abilities necessitate incarceration at NASCU. Once identified, they are required to either join the agency or submit to termination.
Better. Marginally.
Seriously?
That's your voice, isn't it?
Seems so, which is odd, given that I was in elementary school when this was recorded.
So, Harlequin nonsense.
Harlequin nonsense. But the only way through it is forward, so... TSC functions similarly to K9 units and are always partnered with an A or V class agent. When not in the field, TSC are housed inside the Pantheon to ensure their continued compliance with agency directives. Their primary duty is the protection of their Argonaut or Varangian partner at any cost. Failure to perform their duties may result in termination.
Section 5. Ward 1 Protocols. The agency's seemingly overwhelming number of rules, protocols, and expectations can be distilled into 2 exceedingly simple commands. Never forget where you are. Never forget what you are dealing with. Ward 1 houses many of the agency's most extraordinary inmates. A single miscalculation or careless move will jeopardize your life, the lives of your colleagues, and potentially the entire agency. In extraordinary cases, such as the Harlequin, even the smallest mistakes have the capacity to threaten humanity as a whole.
They mean mistakes like helping a notorious child murderer unbound by the laws of physics escape custody. You know, like you did.
Thanks for your input.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Where are you going?
Officially to bed. Unofficially to get drunk, probably with Christoph. Wanna join?
Absolutely not. And shouldn't we tell someone about what the Harlequin did to the handbook?
Not tonight.
But this is serious, isn't it?
I'll take care of it in the morning. Commander Wingaryde is already in bed, and you don't want to wake that man up from his beauty sleep. Trust me. You coming or not?
Coming where?
To get drunk with me and Christoph.
No.
Your loss.
Have a good night, Mikey.
Yeah. Good night, sis.